close enough? Yeah, 5 o'clock. You calling the roll? Go right ahead. Thank you, sir.
Ms. Eggleston? Ms. Bowden?
Here.
Mr. Howell?
Here.
Mr. Lockwood?
Here.
Mr. Munford?
Here.
Ms. Price? Chair Davenport?
Here. Unless there's a addition, correction, or changes to the minutes, the motion to accept, please.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Lockwood, second by
Second.
Mr. Mumford.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Mr. Munford?
Yes.
Ms. Bowden?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
Yes. Before we begin our hearing tonight, our counselor, Mr. Hoy Hodges, will tell you what you have to do in order to get your request approved or denied. Mr. Hodges?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, at the outset, I would ask that the joint zoning ordinance be made part of the record. The staff reports and any exhibits which are attached to those reports should also be introduced as evidence. Also, we need to go and swear in Jenny Willoughby, Amy Scott, and recognize their qualifications as zoning administrators so that their testimony tonight will be considered expert testimony.
Do the ladies swear and tell the truth?
Yes.
Ben, we're not going to swear you in tonight? Sure. Might as well swear you in too. Thank you.
Let's see, tonight on the agenda, we have waivers, variances, and conditional use permits. So we cover the entire spectrum. The first two items are requests for waivers or a variance. And those findings for a variance are set forth in KRS 100.243. The board must find that the requested variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, that it will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, that it will not cause a hazard or a nuisance to the public, it will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations. With respect to a waiver, there are additional findings, and those are set forth in section 3.8.4 of the zoning ordinance. All other matters are requests for conditional use permits, and the findings that are required in those applications are set forth in sections 3.94 and 3.95 of the zoning ordinance. The board must find that the requested conditional use is not detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare in the zone in which it is proposed, that the use will not contribute toward an overburdening of municipal services, that the use will not constitute a nuisance, and that it adequately addresses the review criteria in section 3.9.4 of the zoning ordinance, and that it otherwise meets requirements of the zoning ordinance, such as specific use standards which do attach to each one of these requested conditional uses tonight. Now, I mentioned the review criteria set forth in section 3.9.4. And I want to stress that because it requires the applicant to adequately demonstrate that the review criteria as it may apply to your request has been addressed. And that's really the first threshold question. Has the applicant adequately addressed the review criteria? Among those are compatibility. There are several others that will there be hazardous, it will not be hazardous, detrimental, or disturbing to present surrounding land uses. We have 9, and you need to address the ones that do apply to your specific request. If anyone's dissatisfied with the decision rendered here tonight, you have 30 days to file an appeal, and that goes directly to a Warren Circuit Court. In order to prevail, you need a majority vote of those present. A pass vote has no force or effect. And I believe that covers it all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Our first request tonight, and I know I mispronounced his name, so I apologize. Mirovic Awesome and Jasmine Music have filed an application requesting a 25.5% waiver from the maximum 30% lot coverage requirement in the RE zone to allow a total lot coverage of 55.5% in order to account for existing paving and structures. The property is located at 196 Old Greenville Road in Zone RE Residential Estate. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting back in March for this property out on Old Greenville Road. Here's an aerial perspective on the property. Current zoning of the property is RE Residential Estate. Current land use is single-family residential. And then here are some photos of the property from a couple different perspectives. And then here is their concept for you all. The applicants are requesting a 25.5% waiver from the maximum 30% lot coverage requirement in the RE zone to allow a total lot coverage of 55.5% in order to account for existing paving and structures. And so there is a note there that we will jump over to the bottom of page 2 to the full staff review summary for you all with a little bit more information. And so looking over there, the applicants applied for an outdoor gazebo kitchen permit in early 2026, which initiated a review of the property. At this time, it was determined that lot coverage far exceeded the allowable amount in the zoning ordinance. And so the property owner applied for a garage permit in 2023 and a pool permit in 2024, which were approved. However, staff discovered that the permits were built in excess of the approved permits and exceeded the scope of work. Before the outdoor gazebo kitchen permit can move forward, the property owners must go through the waiver process for the lot coverage requirement. And so if this waiver request is approved, the property will function as generally shown on the exhibit, and then we do have a staff suggested condition that we will get to here in just a moment. So looking back over to page 1, the zoning ordinance reference for the lot coverage is section 4.4.5.b, and that the maximum allowable lot coverage in the RE zone is 30%. The waiver findings are on the bottom of page 1, moving over to page 2, and then there is a narrative supplied by the applicant and midway down the page on page 2. The suggested condition from staff is that the existing gravel parking located in front of the residence shall be removed as shown on the exhibit prior to the issuance of a building permit for the proposed gazebo outdoor kitchen. And so with that, we will look back to page 1 with a couple points to consider. The first is that the board should consider if the requested waiver arises from special circumstances which do not generally apply to land in the general vicinity, or if there are any extraordinary or exceptional topographical conditions that would deprive the property owner of the reasonable use of the land. And the second consideration is that the board should consider if the proposed waiver will alter the essential character of the general vicinity, as there are no other lots in Hillwood Estate subdivision that have a lot coverage as great as 55.5%. And then this next sentence is just a small amendment, is that there was an approved waiver at 292 Old Green Hill Road. However, the property owner at the time was only requesting a 4% waiver, and that was heard at the last hearing. And that's all that I have, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of the staff from the board? Any questions? Are the applicants here tonight? You're here? Okay. Does the board have any questions of the applicants? Any question of the applicants? Any opposition to this request? Any opposition? Motion, please.
I make a motion to approve the request, request for a waiver, docket number 2026-V-07, with the conditions as presented in the staff report. A waiver of 25.5% from the maximum 30% of lot coverage required in the RE zone to allow a total lot coverage of 55.5%. The testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that the granting of these waivers will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, will not alter the essential characters of the general vicinity, will not cause a hazard or a nuisance to the public, and will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations. I further find that the waivers will not violate the comprehensive plan, and the extent of waivers of the regulation is a minimum necessary to avoid relief to the applicants, and either the applicants have incorporated other design measures that exceed the minimum of the district and compensated for non-compliance with requirements to be waived not beneficial, or the request waivers arise from special circumstances will not generally apply to land in the general vicinity of the same zone.
Proper motion.
All right. Second by,
Second.
motion by Mr. Lockwood, second by Mr. Mumford.
Mr. Lockwood,
Yes.
Mr. Munford,
Yes.
Ms. Bowman,
Yes.
Mr. Howell,
Yes.
Chair Davenport.
Yes, your requests have been approved. Thank you all for coming tonight. Our next request tonight, Ty Nugent has filed an application requesting a variance of 14 feet from the required 25-foot setback for development in the RM-4 zone when adjacent to a single-family use, and a variance of 9 feet from the required 25-foot front building setback line. The property is located at 1335 Fair Street and is zoned RM4 multifamily residential. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting for this property on Fair Street back in March as well. The current zoning of the property is RM4. Current land use is single-family residential. And then here is a perspective of the property from a couple different angles. And then we will leave it up here on their concept. The applicant is requesting multiple variances, and so as you detailed, the first is a variance of 14 feet from the required 25-foot setback along the northern property line for development in the RM4 zone when adjacent to a single-family use or district. And then the second is a variance of 9 feet from the required 25-foot front building setback along Fair Street. And so with that, we will look over to page 2. There is a narrative supplied by the applicant midway down the page, and then staff do have a suggested condition of approval. And it's that a revised plat must be submitted to staff for review, approval, and recordation in order to reconfigure the existing lot lines. And so with that, looking back to page 1, we do have a couple of points to consider. The first is that the Board of Adjustments should consider if the requested variances arise from special circumstances which do not generally apply to land in the general vicinity, or if there are any extraordinary or exceptional topographical conditions that would deprive the property owner of the reasonable use of the land. And the second is that the board should consider if the proposed variances will alter the essential character of the general vicinity. And so with that, that's all that I have, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Board, have any questions of the staff? Any questions of the staff? Applicants here? Are the applicants here? What's happening? This is the second time. No applicants here? Well, then have to start all over again then. So nothing can be done with that one tonight. Our next request.
Mike,
Are you the applicant?
She opposes.
Oh, well, we're not going to do anything about it because they're not here.
I was going to ask you if it would be another time schedule.
When they come back to reapply. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. There's no action will be taken tonight on it at all. Okay? All right. Our next request tonight, Daniel Sharps Mark, Inc., applicant, and DBR Holdings, LLC, and Medea, LLC owners have filed an application requesting a CUP to operate a waste-related use, more specifically a medical waste transfer station. The property is located at 759 Hennessy Way and is zoned HI Heavy Industrial. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting back in February for the property that you mentioned, and it is highlighted in red on the screen. The current zoning is HI, which is heavy industrial. Current land use is industrial. And we have some property photos for you. And then here is the site plan that the applicants have submitted with their application. And again, the applicants are requesting a CUP to operate a waste-related use, more specifically a medical waste transfer station. Looking down to the zoning ordinance reference, Article 5, Section 5.1, the use table, a conditional use permit is required to operate a waste-related use on the property zoned heavy industrial. Below that is a zoning ordinance reference. Looking over at page 2 to the conditions that have been supplied by the applicant. Number 1, all waste will be disposed of according to and in compliance with the state and local regulations. Number 2, no waste will be treated on site. Number 3, all waste will be completely contained within the main building or within secure trailers. Number 4, all waste will be transported to a permitted treatment facility. And number 5, regulated medical waste will be stored only for short-term consolidation purposes and in compliance with state regulatory requirements. Below that are the conditional use permit findings for your reference. And back to page 1 to the points to consider. There are none pending public hearing and testimony that we might have. That's all we have for staff report. Happy to answer any questions.
Does the board have any question of the staff? Any question of the staff? Thank you. Is the applicant here? Would you come up, please? We probably have a few questions for you. Can we have your full name and address, please?
Sure. Christina Prismanis, 2105 West Waveland Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, 60618.
Do you swear to tell the truth, ma'am?
Yes, I do.
Tell us exactly what this is going to do.
Of course. So it's a medical waste transfer facility. So we are going to collect medical waste generated at hospitals, outpatient centers, dialysis centers, and transfer it over to this Bowling Green facility, and then transfer that waste out to treatment. No waste will be treated on-site, no containers will be opened on-site. It's simply to store it for further transfer.
Is this business operating now?
Yes, it is. We actually have our operations manager who heads our Walton, Kentucky facility. That is a treatment facility.
I'm sorry, where?
Walton, Kentucky?
Okay. Are you picking up waste here in Bowling Green now? Okay, we'll need to swear him in, he's going to talk, so.
Sorry.
Your full name and address, please?
Leonard Mablot, 109 Maple Avenue, Southgate, Kentucky.
Do you swear to tell the truth, sir?
Yes, sir.
So where's this, if you're picking up now, where's it going?
It is going to Walton, Kentucky. We're right off 75, about 25 minutes south of Cincinnati.
And what's the reason for not doing that anymore? Why do you need to put a transfer station here?
The growth that we're experiencing right now is so massive in this area. We want a couple of big customers, and we're just needing a central location, so we're not driving 4 or 5 hours to collect the waste from the customers.
When you say waste containers and secured trailers, are you talking about like a semi-truck trailer that's sitting outside?
So we pick up with box trucks, 28-foot box trucks.
Keep going forward. There's
Oh.
photos of it. Keep going forward.
There, we have our 28-foot box trucks. The drivers actually pick up to each facility, bring back to the transfer station, and then they just cross-dock it to a 53-footer. And then we'll come and bring a day cab, and we'll just pick it up and then transfer it up to Walton to process.
So you're just going to store it inside of this place
Yeah.
until you get a bigger truck to pick, so you can take a bigger load? Is that what I'm?
Yes, sir. They'll take it literally off that truck, walk it off that truck, and walk it into that trailer. And then each day a driver will come down, pick up that trailer, and bring it to Walton.
And what all is in these boxes? And how secured are they?
It's regulated medical waste, so it's your sharps, your bandages, and whatever comes out of hospitals and clinics. And our containers are sealed with the rubber seals, so there's no leakage. Even if they do fall over, they don't leak. They're not your typical containers that you see from Stericycle or anyone else.
I just want to add that our containers are DOT approved.
Yeah.
So they're made to handle transit, they're made to be secure, and they're made to handle long hauls. And the generator, the hospital, is going to be the one that segregates the waste according to the bins. The bins are visually distinct, so we have different colors depending on the type of waste, so that we know immediately what's inside of them, and we don't have to open them at any point during this process.
I know that area is zoned industrial, but also there's a lot of restaurants, museums, hotels. It's kind of become more of a tourist attraction area than it has a highly industrial area, if that makes any sense. So do you think that this fits in compatible with that, with the surrounding neighbors you've got there?
Yeah, when I looked at the map, I did notice that there are some nearby, like warehouses, distribution centers. From the outside, that's what our facility is going to look like. You're not going to see anything that really screams waste processing or waste use. From the outside, you're simply going to see those trucks coming in, and pulling out. At no point is it going to be like visually offensive or, necessarily odorous.
And we have a transfer station similar to this in the same type of area in Indianapolis.
Are you building a new building?
No. this is an
You're
existing
leasing
facility.
from this, you're going to lease it, that's what it looks like to me.
So we're going to lease.
Now, the trucks can't pull inside where you're leasing the
No,
building, though?
no.
So the transfer has to take place outside of the building?
No, there's 3 docks. There's 3 docks that we'll back into, and
Then you take a tow motor or something, and
Oh, no, that's
how do
all-
you get them inside the building?
that's all manual.
Let's
You
show
can just pull the transporters out, in and out with dollies or with the transporters are on wheels, so we can actually take them in and out of the trailers.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the board of the applicant? Any board members have a question? Thank you very much. I think we have some opposition. I will let you respond to their concerns. Opposition to this request? We'll let Mr. Davenport go first, if you don't mind.
Chair Davenport, good evening, members of the board. Chris Davenport, 921 College Street, and I swear to tell the truth.
You got it. Thanks.
I'm here on behalf of Johnson Investment Properties and their principal, Mr. Stephen Johnson. If you'll raise your hand, Mr. Johnson. If anyone else that opposes this, I would appreciate it. I don't know who all we have here tonight. I knew there would probably be some other people here. But again, I represent Mr. Johnson. His facility, if you're looking at what's on the screen here, is right here. His building it was the old Fruit of the Loom call center years ago. And strangely enough, I was actually in this same room last June when Mr. Johnson was rezoning his facility. And that's one thing I want to tell the board about. His facility was rezoned June of last summer from HI to LI. It's actually downzoned. His facility currently has within his building, and I wish I had I guess it would be on the staff report. Yeah. Thank you, Amy. His building currently has the following tenants: Skiva Volleyball, Sky Soccer, an inline hockey organization, and he's working on an indoor gym for 10-year-olds and under. As a parent of 3 kids that played travel sports and still do, I'm very familiar with these types of businesses. They are heavily pedestrian. They are pedestrian and vehicular movement heavy. That's what they are. He has leagues that play in this facility. He has tournaments that come to this facility from outside of town. To your point, Chair Davenport, this area has become a gateway of Warren County. And in fact, when he was before the Planning Commission 11 months ago, that point was made by the Planning Commission and their staff. As a condition of his rezoning, if I may, Mr. Hodges, I have a copy of those development conditions I'd like to introduce as an exhibit. I've got copies of those. Just pass those around. When he rezoned last June, at the recommendation of staff, the Planning Commission prohibited certain uses on his facility, such as liquor stores, such as tattoo parlor, such as pawn shops. And the reason for that is we do that about every 2 weeks at Planning Commission when things get rezoned. There are certain uses which staff and the Planning Commission thinks probably don't fit right into a certain area, even though those would be uses as a matter of right, not conditional uses like you all are used to. So the point I want to make is, if you look at those uses weren't found to be right in this area. I think they're way less intense and intrusive than a medical waste transfer facility, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. The other thing I want to point out is, at staff's request and at the Planning Commission's request, he agreed to a 10% maximum outdoor storage on his facility. This group has come in and is saying they want to have trailers out there with medical waste with no maximum. The end of that packet is the maximum lot coverage in these districts. So 48-acre facility, they would be allowed 90% lot coverage if this CUP is passed. I understand what they're saying tonight. This happens a lot before this board and planning committee. Well, we're only wanting to do this. Look at the conditions they've offered. No maximums on anything. If this CUP is passed, it could be 48 acres of medical waste transfer station. So, at least from the way I read the application. My main point here is, I want you to know what my client's facility is. I also want to point out, by my look at the map, this facility in question sits less than 100 feet off that property line. My client's facility is right on the property line almost. And so I would ask, just rhetorically, again, this is a conditional use. Is there not a better heavy industrial property in Warren County than one that sits within 100 feet of the property line? I represent solid waste and, companies here in town. They're not allowed to store solid waste under the state regulation within 250 feet of the property line. That's in Chapter 401 of the Kentucky Administrative Regulations. I'm not an expert in medical waste, but it seems to me if you can't store household garbage within 200 feet of a property line, maybe we shouldn't be storing medical waste within 200 feet of the property line. The last thing I'll say is, if you look at what they're asking for, their own application says, and I'm going to use the verbs they use, they want to receive, they want to consolidate. I don't know, to me, consolidate sounds like mixing. And when I hear the applicant say, we're not going to open these containers, I have a hard time rectifying that with the phrase consolidating. But they want to consolidate this medical waste. They want to store it and they want to transport it. They want to use trailers. There is no limit in their conditions as to the scope of this project. There is no limit as to the hours of operation of this project. And I think that should give us all a lot of concerns. The last thing I want to point out, and I try to be brief with these comments, is it's always important, and your attorney always, every time I'm at your all's board, Mr. Hodges makes this point very first. It is not the opposition's burden to disprove the application. It is the applicant's burden to show all of those findings that are in your report that you have to find in order to grant this. Among those, I would point out, they must show that this requested use is compatible with existing uses adjacent and near the property. They must show that it will not be hazardous, detrimental, or disturbing. And I didn't catch the lady's name, but her comment was there wouldn't necessarily be an odor. I don't know if y'all caught that. Sometimes the devil's in the details. Honey, I may not necessarily be home late tonight. Pretty good chance I'm going to be home late. They must show that they will not adversely affect the development of the neighborhood, and they must show that it is consistent with existing planned pedestrian and vehicular movement in the area. That's where I'm going to go back. When you consider all those questions, think about the pre-existing facility my client owns within feet of this that has little kids coming every day, every night, playing volleyball and hockey and soccer and to a playground. He also has food storage, grade food storage facilities in his facility. And I would urge you to find they have not met their burden under those criteria. I'll answer any questions y'all might have.
Any questions? Excuse me, any questions of Mr. Davenport? We'll let a couple other people say what they got. Thank you, sir, appreciate it. Who wants to come up next? Okay.
Mr. Chair, can I clarify just one thing? If we look at the site plan
You can come on up.
here, it would function like it is presented with the limited 4 trailer spots. If they ever needed to expand to the additional acreage or expand their operation, they would have to come back to this board to amend their conditional use permit to be able to expand that. But they would be held to this site plan for that.
Get that?
I didn't necessarily read the conditions that way, but I appreciate what they were saying.
Yes, ma'am. We need to swear you in. Your full name and address?
Jacqueline Wilde, E-Boards, 3955 Cemetery Road.
Do you swear to tell the truth, ma'am?
I swear to tell the truth.
And your concerns are?
Yes, my husband and I own the new gym in town that is actually right next door to this facility. We are the closest section right here. I didn't plan to speak today, but I feel it's applicable. My daughter was in the back. She's a year old, and right before I came here, I was working out, and she was playing right here with dandelions. We have a 3-year-old son, too, and the thought of this coming next door, we have a kid zone in our facility, too, that over 400 people check in a day, and a lot of them bring their kids. This would really affect people wanting to bring their kids, and for their kids to be playing right here in the grass just all day long. People run sprints down there. No telling, I'm not sure exactly what the products would be, but if there's needles, waste, disposal, anything, I just would hate for our facility to be affected by that and the members that attend there. So, thank you.
Is that all? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Any questions of this
Any
young lady
questions?
from the board? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Someone else want to try? Anyone else want to say something that's against it? I thought, didn't you raise your hand? Or nobody else? All right, we'll let you, we do have, no, I'm sorry, somebody behind you wants to. You can come in, yeah. That's all right. Your full name and address?
Jonathan Bryant, 906 State Street, Bowling Green, Kentucky.
And you swear to tell the truth, sir?
Yes, sir.
Go right
I'm one
ahead.
of the members of DVR Holdings. I think we're making a lot about nothing here. This is very similar to another property we own downtown on Adams Street, being the old RC Cola plant. It kind of works in reverse to that one. That one, they will bring in the materials in the mornings in 53-foot trucks, sort the product out, and put it back out on short trucks delivered out to the local stores. To think that they're going to take unopened boxes and somehow have an outdoor problem across acres and acres and acres, I just don't see it. We researched this company fairly heavily. We've seen pictures of their other facilities. They're the cleanest, nicest. They're large plastic containers on wheels. They simply roll them out of one truck, roll them back into another truck. We don't want to mess. We don't want anything that stinks. We wouldn't be trying to attract that kind of business, but it really is not the dirty thing that it sounds like that it is.
Now, are you on the property, or you
Yes,
own
sir.
part of the business, or
On the property.
you own the property? Where
Yes, sir.
Now, if this is turned down, that doesn't affect you leasing this to someone else, does it?
I mean,
It won't deprive you of a reasonable use of your property, will it?
if you don't put this here, I don't know where else you put it. Mr. Johnson's property has been HI since the time that it was built. He's the one that downgraded it and brought in a more retail purpose directly next door to a heavy industrial use that's been heavy industrial since the 60s. I don't know how him downgrading his zoning affects our zoning. We have no binding elements. We have some of the loosest zoning possible in Bowling Green, considering the fact we're HI with no binding elements. It's a very rare thing to find. He's the one that's recently changed his zoning. We haven't changed ours.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. All right, you want to respond to their concerns, please? And Chris, will let you go last after her.
Yeah, of course. So first of all, thank you all for coming here. We do appreciate the community coming together and questioning these things, because, yeah, it's, medical waste transfer and treatment does, well, we're not doing treatment. Medical waste transfer is a scary sounding term, and we want to make sure that you all understand what we're doing and make sure to be good neighbors to you guys, because most importantly, we want to fit in with the community. We do not want to have any sort of adversarial relationships with anybody in the surrounding area. So, could you show my presentation again? So, it was mentioned that we didn't go through the conditional use permit review criteria. We do have it within our PowerPoint. So I'll be going over those 9 criteria, if that's all right with everyone here, and sort of explaining how we feel that we fit into this area. All right. So for the first one, does this project conflict with the comprehensive plan and the purpose of the zoning ordinance? Reviewing the comprehensive plan for a high industrial area does say it needs to be close to rail and truck access. We primarily operate with trucks, just dropping the medical waste off at the facility and then picking it up. As said, we're not doing any treatment at this facility. We're not doing anything that's odorous or could possibly risk the surrounding community and ourselves too. We care about our employees, and we're never going to put them in unneeded risk by having them do things that are not locally ordained or possibly harmful to themselves. We will be consistent with the intent statement for this district. It is zoned as heavy industrial, and waste use is permitted under a conditional use permit for this area. We did look at different areas, and heavy industrial does fit our processes the best. Will this be compatible with existing uses adjacent to and near the property? There are warehouses, there's distribution centers, and again, from the outside, our facility is going to operate very similar to those types of businesses. We're not opening up any waste containers. We're not doing any of that sort of stuff that would produce any sort of like noxious fumes or any sort of negative effects that you wouldn't want in your community. Again, this is just trucks coming in and out, which is compatible within this area. Will it be hazardous, detrimental, or disturbing to present surrounding land uses due to noise, glare, smoke, dust, odor, fumes, and other general nuisance? No. The containers are sealed. These are proprietary containers. These are containers that are built to be reusable. They're durable containers, DOT certified for long-haul transit. They're not going to be open. They have been tested to mitigate any sort of spills. They are sturdy containers. And again, we will not be opening them, and all transferring is going to happen within the facility. The waste is never going to be just sitting outside the property. At any point, the trucks are going to back into the dock. We're going to take out the waste, store it, and put it back in. Will not otherwise adversely affect the development of the general neighborhood or the district in which the use is proposed. The area, although there are some places that are more public focus, there are still a lot of commercial and industrious uses in the area. So our type of facility still does fit in with the character of the neighborhood. Will this be consistent with existing and planned pedestrian and vehicular circulation adjacent to and near the property? So this property is located at the end of Hennessy Way, so there's no through traffic going through the property. And looking at I-65 and US 31, our traffic is going to be minimally impactful to those current road uses. Again, we're only going to have about 3 trucks servicing this facility. Will you have adequate water and sewer supply, stormwater facilities, transportation facilities? Yes, we specifically chose this location because it was adequate for our needs as is. There's no modifications that we're going to need to make to this facility. We can operate it in its current state as is. And we are sharing this part of the building with other renters, as the owner said. So we do want to be good neighbors. We are going to make sure that we're using appropriate, public facility. It's a shared service, and we're cognizant of that. Will this be developed in a way that will preserve and incorporate any important natural features of the site? Again, we're not going to develop this site any further. It's a leased property, and it's purposeful as is to us. And finally, will conform to any specific criteria or conditions that are elsewhere in the zoning. We provided those lists of conditions that Amy mentioned earlier. We're happy to amend them if anyone feels any need to add additional conditions on there. We want to be good neighbors. We want you guys to feel safe with us there. We take pride in our operations and our skill set. We take pride in our trained faculty. We're here because, medical waste is important. Everybody wants a hospital nearby, but no one wants to deal with the waste. You can't have both. It has to go somewhere. I'm going to open the floor up. Jennifer, Lenny, anything else you guys want to add?
How many containers do you plan on putting inside this facility for storage?
Lenny, do you have a better answer? This is why we brought operations along.
Currently, day by day, it'd be anywhere from 500 to 1,000 containers going back and forth between the facilities, Walton and
500 to 1,000?
Yeah, depending on how much we would be picking up from these
So
customers.
then you're going to have semi-trucks come in to...
Yeah, so your sharps containers can be anywhere from a 5-gallon to an 8-gallon size container. They're the ones that are in hospitals that hang on the walls. They're very small.
So how often does a semi-truck come in to pick up?
Daily.
Can it take the whole 500 to 1,000 every day?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can stick up to 100 in a transporter at times. So, and we fit almost 26 to 28, on a 53-footer.
So you take the containers in the doctor's office and you put it inside of another container?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board of the applicants?
Excuse me. So you're picking up in a 28-foot box truck and taking it out there and backing it into the ramp and taking it off of that and storing it for a short period of time and then putting it in a semi.
No, it'll go straight into the semi.
It'll go straight to the semi, so it's not really stored on the property.
Yeah, the only thing stored is clean containers just to reload onto their trailer for the next day's routes. Yeah, it's just route trucks is basically what we have.
Okay. All right, thank you. Chris, you want to respond, and then we'll take a vote here.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Let me first say that I've heard the applicant talk, they really want to focus on syringes and those sharps containers. And again, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think medical waste is much more broad than that. And they haven't included a condition that says it's just going to be that. And I think they've tried to give the implication that this is all non-biological waste, and I don't think that's true. I don't think they can sit up here and say that, but I think they're trying to imply that. Also, when they say, well, nothing's going to be stored there, that's contrary to the express language of their application. And, you know, the devil's always in the details in these cases, and they're going to be bound by what their restrictions are, not just what they said here today. So I would really urge caution with that, because to me, I think they're trying to paint a picture that's much less intense and onerous than what the transfer and disposal of medical waste would be. Now, let me speak to what Mr. Bryant said. And I'm happy you now know, as I understood it, he already has tenants in this building, including a C-store operation, storage, for a convenience store. I really don't know how, that's up to him and his tenants, how those things can coexist. I kind of assume they won't, frankly. I can't imagine a C-store operation is going to store the same materials in the same building as a medical waste company. But when he referred to the Adams Street property, I think he's talking about the RC Cola Distribution Center. I would just say, I think RC Cola distribution and medical waste are apples and oranges. There's a reason why you need a conditional use for one and not the other. And that's my last point. When Mr. Bryant says that my client came to this facility, he did. And when he bought this facility and started spending a lot of money rehabbing it for a recreational facility, he understood that the next door property was HI. But it was not HI with a conditional use permit for medical waste transport and storage. That is not a use that's allowed as a matter of right. It's only conditional use for the exact reason we're debating it tonight. So he didn't come and open up next door to a medical waste facility. And he didn't come and open up to a facility that had approval to do that. They did not. That's the point of tonight's hearing. Thank you all.
Thank you. All right, motion, please.
I make the motion to deny the conditional use permit, docket number 2026-C-06 for a waste-related use, more specifically a medical transfer station. The use would be detrimental to public health, safety, or welfare in the zone in which they are proposed.
Proper motion.
Did you want to address any of the review criteria in that motion, such as compatibility or the other items set forth in 3 point?
It don't seem to be compatible with the other uses in the building that's going to be as of now.
Right.
In other words, I don't see it fitting in with the storage and the use of the ball teams and so forth and so on, compatible to a storage facility.
So is that added as a part of your motion?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
This proper motion.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Lockwood, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Munford.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Mr. Munford?
Yes.
Ms. Bowen?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
Yes. Your request has been denied. You've got 30 days to go to circuit court to appeal it. Thank you very much, and thank you all for coming down, those that were here in attendance. Our next request tonight, Scott Murphy and Daniel, applicant in St. Joseph Church, care of Father Ryan Harpo, owner, have filed an application requesting a CUP for an existing religious institution and school. The property is located 416 and 434 Church Avenue in the Zone RM3 Townhouse Multifamily.
I might wait a little bit just for the...
Sure. Do we have the church here tonight? We do have you tonight, don't we? We missed you last month. We should have called you, but we didn't have a chance to. Sorry.
Alrighty, so
Alrighty, here we go.
we had a pre-application meeting for this property out on Church Avenue back in March. Current zoning of the property is RM3, and current land use is public institutional. Here are some photos of the property. And then we have the site layout. So the applicants are requesting a conditional use permit for an existing religious institution and school. The current religious institution and school are legal, non-conforming uses. However, the church is proposing to expand and therefore must come into compliance with the current standards of the zoning ordinance. So looking down, midway down the page, the section is Article 5, Section 5.1 of the use table, that a conditional use permit is required to operate a religious institution and school on property zoned RM3. The bottom of page 1 has their conditions. The first is that the exterior finishes will be brick veneer, hardy cement board, and an asphalt shingle roof to match existing. Second is that hours of operation for the school use shall be Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., with exceptions for extracurricular activities and some periodic special events. Number 3, maximum capacity is 450 students for the school. And then number 4, church activities shall take place between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. with exceptions for special events and holidays. And so on page 2 are the conditional use permit findings for your all's reference. And with that, staff have no points to consider pending public hearing in the testimony here tonight. And that's all that I have, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All righty. Any questions of the staff from the board?
Thank you.
Applicants are here. Thank you. Any opposition to this request? Any opposition? Motion, please.
I make the motion to approve the conditional use permit, docket number 2026-C-08 for a religious institution and school with the conditions as presented in the staff report. The testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that the use is not detrimental to public health, safety, or welfare in the zone in which it is proposed. The use will not contribute to an overburden of municipal services. The use will not result in increased traffic congestions, additional parking problems, substantial increase in population density, environmental problems, or constitute a nuisance, that the use otherwise meets the requirement of the zoning ordinance.
There's a proper motion.
All right. Motion by Mr. Lockwood, second by Mr. Howell.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Mr. Munford?
Yes.
Ms. Bowman?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
Yes, your request has been approved. Thank you all for coming down tonight. Thank you all. Our next request, Woodall Investments LLC, care of Andrea Vallis, have filed an application requesting a CUP for 2 short-term rentals located at 4472 and 4504 Morgantown Road. This property is zoned AG agricultural. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting on March 31st for this property on Morgantown Road. Current zoning of the property is ag. Current land use is single-family residential. And then here are some rainy day photos of the property for you all. And then here is their site plan, which can also be found on page 7 of your staff report. So the applicants are requesting a conditional use permit to operate 2 short-term rentals on the property. Looking down to the bottom of page 1, the specific use standards for a short-term rental can be found there. And then we'll look over to page 2 with their supplied conditions, and we'll go through those. The first is that 4472 Morgantown Road, which is this structure here, a bit further away from the road, has a maximum of 1 room for rent, and then 4504 Morgantown Road, which is the structure closer to the road, will have a maximum of 3 rooms for rent. Number 3, rooms will not be individually rented. Number 4, 4472 Morgantown Road has a maximum of 2 guest vehicles in the designated parking area. And number 5, 4504 Morgantown Road has a maximum of 3 guest vehicles in the designated parking area, and you can see those there on the site plan. Number 6, quiet hours will be from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. Number 7, there will be no signage on the property. And then number 8, if the property is ever sold or the applicant ceases the use, the CUP will be null and void. And then below those conditions are the conditional use permit findings for your all's reference. And then looking back to page 1, we have a couple of points to consider. The first is that the board should consider if the proposed use is compatible with the surrounding area, including the existing adjacent or existing single-family residential uses located adjacent to the property and in the general vicinity. And then secondly, that the board should determine if 2 short-term rentals on the same parcel is appropriate. And that's all that I have, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board or the staff? Thank
all.
you. Any, are the applicants here? Would you come up, please? May have a couple of questions for you. And your full name and address, please?
Adriana Vallis Woodall. My address is 568 West Villa Drive.
You swear to tell the truth, ma'am? Do you think this is, I know there's a lot of stuff on Morgantown Road, but from your property back, it's mostly residential, single family. Do you think this is compatible with that area out there? How would you justify putting it in there?
Well, yeah, I mean, those 2 homes we can use as just short-term rentals. I mean, there wouldn't be any type of parties or anything like that that would disturb the residents around us.
How do you, 2 being on the same property, if you rent them, how are your guests going to know which property they're supposed to go in?
Well, they're 2 separate addresses, so you can put on there, 4504 on one and then the 4472 on the other. Now, the only other thing that Amy and I had discussed was the entrance. I mean, it would be ideal to have a separate entrance for the 4472, but you can get from that main entrance all the way back to the other house.
Do you consider that a dangerous driveway to go in and out of? Okay.
No.
All the traffic?
I do it all the
Morgantown
time.
Road? Okay. All right. Is there a business located in one of those buildings where you got the X's on there? I saw
No,
a
they're
thing that
just-
said septic tank service.
It's what it probably used to be at some point, and it's just been left up there, but no, it's totally empty, both of them.
So you think people coming to stay in a short-term rental, when they pull in the driveway and see a sign that says septic tank service, aren't going to be a little
We'll
like,
remove it.
oh my gosh, where am I staying?
We'll remove it. We'll remove the sign. But yeah, it's empty, there's nothing in there, it's completely open, so you can see in there, there's no business in
I
there.
just thought I'd point that out. All
You're
right.
making me nervous.
Any questions of the applicant from the board? Any questions? Thank you, ma'am. Any opposition to this request? Any opposition? Motion, please.
I make the motion to approve the conditional use permit docket number 2026-C-09 for 2 short-term rentals with the conditions as presented in the staff report. The testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that the use is not detrimental to public health, safety, or welfare in the zone in which it is proposed. The use will not contribute towards an overburdening of municipal services. The use will not result in increased traffic congestion, additional parking problems, substantial increase in population density, environmental problems, or constitute a nuisance. That the use otherwise will meet the requirements of the zoning area ordinance.
Proper motion.
Motion by Mr. Lockwood, second by
Second.
Ms. Bowman. Ms. Bowman. Thank you. Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Mumford?
Yes.
Ms. Bowman?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mayor Danner?
Yes, and I wouldn't move that sign if I were you. Thank you. Your request has been approved. Our next request tonight, Mason McKinley, STR LLC applicant, and Jeffrey and Kim Soul owners have filed an application requesting a CUP for a short-term rental on the property located at 7130 Cemetery Road. Now, this property is zoned AG Agricultural and Flood Zone.
Yes, thank you,
Yes,
Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting back in April for the property that you mentioned, and then highlighted in red. Current zoning is agriculture and floodplain. Current land use is single-family residential. And again, the applicants are requesting a conditional use permit to operate a short-term rental. A conditional use permit was approved in June of 2023 for a short-term rental at this location. The applicants are seeking the CUP because a condition was placed in the application that nullifies the CUP if the property is ever sold. Here are a couple of property photos. And here is the site plan. Looking down at the zoning ordinance reference, Article 5, Section 5.1, use table, a conditional use permit is required to operate a short-term rental on property zoned agriculture. Below that are the zoning ordinance reference for short-term rental. Looking at page 2, under the supplied conditions, number 1, a maximum of 3 rooms for rent. Number 2, rooms will not be individually rented. Number 3, a maximum of 3 guest vehicles in the designated parking area. Number 4, no signage on the property. Number 5, quiet hours will be from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Number 6, if the property is ever sold or the applicant ceases the use, the CUP will be null and void. And just a little note here, the conditions supplied in this application are very similar to the conditions in the June 2023 application, with the addition of number 2 and number 4 relating to renting the home as a single unit and no signage. Below that are the conditional use permit findings for reference, and looking back at page 1 to the points to consider. There are none pending any public hearing and testimony.
Okay.
So that's all we have for staff report. Happy to answer any
All
questions.
right. Any questions from the staff of the board? Is there any reason that we should regret approving this a couple of years ago? Has anything happened where, that you know of, or we should regret?
It hasn't been brought to our attention.
I'm sorry?
It hasn't been brought to our attention, to
Okay.
our office, as there has been.
All right.
But I think the applicant and
Are
maybe
the
the current
applicants here?
owners are here. We can speak to that, but
Yeah.
not as far as our office knows.
Do y'all have any question of the applicant? Does the board have any question of the applicants? We've done this before. Any opposition to this request? No opposition. Motion, please.
I make the motion to approve the conditional use permit docket number 2026-C-10 for short-term rental with the conditions as presented in the staff report. The testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that the use is not detrimental to public health, safety, and welfare in the zone in which it's being proposed. The use will not contribute toward an overburdening of municipal services. The use will not result in increased traffic congestion, additional parking problems, substantial increase in population density, environmental problems, or constitute a nuisance. That the use otherwise meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance.
That's a proper motion.
All right, a motion by Mr. Mumford and second by Mr. Howell.
Mr. Mumford?
Yes.
Ms. Bowden?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Davenport?
Yes, your request has been approved. Thank you all for coming down. Appreciate it. Our next request tonight, Suds in the Bucket applicant and Candy and Curtis Johnson owners have filed an application requesting a CUP to operate a home occupation, more specifically for laundry services on the property located at 5225 Penns Chapel Road. The property is zoned AG Agricultural. Ms. Amy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting back in April for this property on Penns Chapel Road. Current zoning is agriculture. Current land use is single-family residential. Again, the applicants are requesting a CUP to operate a home occupation, specifically for laundry services. Here is a couple of photos of the area. And here is the site plan. Again, the zoning ordinance reference, Article 5, Section 5.1, use table, conditional use permit is required to operate a home occupation on property zoned agriculture. Below that is the zoning ordinance reference for home occupations. Looking over at page 2 to the supplied conditions. Number 1, hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and by appointment only. Number 2, a maximum of 2 client vehicles on the property at a time. Number 3, there shall be no employees involved in such occupation that do not reside on the premises. And number 4, if the property is ever sold, the CUP will be null and void. Below that are the conditional use permit findings, and looking back at page 1 to the points to consider, there are none pending public hearing and testimony.
Okay.
All we have for staff report.
Any questions of the staff from the board? Thank you, Amy. Any, are the applicants here? You're the applicants. Does the board have any questions of the applicants? Any? I used to be in the laundry business. Why you want to do that, I have no idea. No, it's all right. I'm just kidding. Any opposition to this request? Any opposition? Motion, please.
I make the motion to approve the conditional use permit docket number 2026-C-11 for a home occupation, more specifically for laundry services, with a condition as presented in the staff report. The use is not detrimental to public health, safety, or welfare in the zone in which they are proposed. The use will not contribute to an overburdening of municipal services. The use will not result in increased traffic congestion, additional parking problems, substantial increase in population density, environmental problems, or constitute a nuisance. That the use otherwise meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance.
Proper motion.
Motion by Mr. Lockwood and a second by
Second.
Mr. Mumford.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Mr. Mumford?
Yes.
Ms. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Lattimore?
Yes, your request has been approved, and good luck to you out there. Thank you all for coming down tonight. Thanks for waiting. Our next request and our last request, J. Mar Stables applicant and William Timothy Howe, owner, have filed an application requesting a CUP to operate a short-term rental at 1444 Ben T. Johns Road. The applicants are also requesting a CUP for agritourism uses, more specifically for watching, learning, and participating in cattle herding, horse feeding, kayaking, and fishing in the creek, and photo shoots for the purpose of experiencing education and agricultural of a farm. The property is located at 1444, 1750, and 1940 Ben T. Johns Road, and are zoned AG agricultural and F flood zone. Amy.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting back on April the 7th for the properties that you mentioned and then that are highlighted in red. Current zoning is agriculture and floodplain. Current land use is agriculture. And again, the applicants are requesting a CUP to operate a short-term rental at 1444 Ben T. Johns. And then additionally, they are also requesting a CUP for agritourism uses, for watching, learning, participating in cattle herding, horse feeding, kayaking, and fishing in the creek, photo shoots for the purpose of experiencing education and agriculture on a farm. We do have some property photos. So this would be the structure that would be utilized for the short-term rental. Parking area. This is generally where agritourism, they would park. Pastures associated with the agritourism use. And there are a few different site plans in your packets because it is such a sprawling property here. So one is for the purpose of the short-term rental, so you can see the parking. Another one is the agritourism uses and the locations on the properties, which those will occur. And then there is another site plan in there that shows the parking area for the agritourism uses. So there's 3 site plans. Just so they're zoomed in and you can get a better idea for that. Zoning ordinance reference, Article 5, Section 5.1, use table, a conditional use permit is required to operate a short-term rental and agritourism on property zoned agriculture. Below that are the specific use standards for short-term rental, and on the following page, there are the agritourism uses. But looking at, on page 3, to the proposed conditions, we'll start with the short-term rental. Number 1, a maximum of 3 rooms for rent. Number 2, rooms will not be individually rented. Number 3, a maximum of 3 guest vehicles in the designated parking area. Number 4, there will be no signage on the property. Number 5, quiet hours will be from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. And number 6, if the property is ever sold or the applicant ceases the use, the CUP will be null and void. And then for the agritourism part of the application, number 1, agritourism uses shall be watching, learning, and participating in cattle herding, horse feeding, kayaking, and fishing in the creek, and photo shoots, all for the purpose of experiencing education and agritourism of a farm. Number 2, agritourism uses shall be limited to a maximum of 10 guests on the property. Number 3, hours of operation shall be 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., 7 days a week, and by appointment only. Number 4, there will be no signage on the properties. And number 5, if the properties are ever sold or the applicant ceases the use, the CUP will be null and void. And below that are the conditional use permit findings for reference. And then looking over at page 1, 2 points to consider. There are none pending public hearing and testimony. All we have for staff report. Happy to answer any questions.
Good. Any questions of the staff from the board? Applicants, I assume you all are the applicants?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right. Does the board have any questions of the applicants? Any opposition to this request? Well, I assume we can make this in one motion, or do we need two? One for the short-term rental and one for the agritourism?
It'd probably be better to have two separate motions.
One for the short-term rental and one for the okay. I know it's in the same application, but since it's two different things, I think we'd probably, just to be safe.
You know, in this situation, you know, you could go either way, you know, there's no opposition here. I'd still prefer to have it in two separate motions.
One for the short-term and one for the, okay.
You're right.
All right, motion, please.
I make the motion to approve the conditional use permit, docket number 2026-C-12 for the short-term rental and agritourism with the conditions as presented in the staff report. The testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that the use is not detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare in the zone in which it is proposed. The use will not contribute toward an overburdening of municipal services. The use will not result in increased traffic congestion, additional parking problems, substantial increase in population density, environmental problems, or constitute a nuisance. That the use otherwise meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance.
Proper motion.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Mumford, second by
Second.
Ms. Bowen. Now, you did say both of them, the condition, the short-term rental and the agritourism? Or do you want to do a second motion for the
I
agritourism?
believe he would like the long-term
Okay.
separate.
It's better, you know, we
Okay.
need to keep it separate.
So this one is just for the short-term
Short-term.
rental, okay? You can call the roll for that, please.
Mr. Mumford?
Yes.
Ms. Bowen?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
Yes. Now we need a motion for the agritourism part.
I make the motion to approve the conditional use permit docket number 2026-C-12 for the agritourism with the conditions as presented in the staff report. The testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that the use is not detrimental to the public health, safety, and welfare in the zone in which it is proposed. The use will not contribute toward an overburdening of municipal services. The use will not result in increased traffic congestion, additional parking problems, substantial increase in population density, environmental problems, or constitute a nuisance. That the use otherwise meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance.
Proper motion.
All right. Motion by Mr. Mumford, second by
Second.
Mr. Lockwood.
Mr. Mumford?
Yes.
Ms. Bowen?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
Yes, your request has been approved. Both requests have been approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all for coming down. Sorry. you had
Tim,
to
good
wait.
luck to you.
Well, I colored my hair a little bit.
Hey, at least you still got some.
You know, I found this man, I found him on my property a few years ago. I was riding my horse and I said, who is that over there? And it was Hoy up there. I said, well, you know, I need to just do this all the time.
I tell you, there's not a better place for agritourism. I've ridden all over his property in that creek, and it's absolutely beautiful.
It is pretty, yeah. It's nice.
Yeah.
Just make sure you have your permission, right?
Yeah, I come across there fast. I said, who is that over there? I said, what are you doing?
All right.
You can come anytime. Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate it.
y'all are welcome. Thank you. Wait a minute, we're not done yet. We got any old business?
Well done with me, right?
Yeah, we're done with you. You go ahead, yeah. Any old business?
I'm thinking not that, so.
Any new business? All right, we are adjourned.